Morning World subscribers. My son's been replaying these vlogs over and over. Like, he loves his mom so much. Maybe not. So, on Mondays, it's late start for school, but I have a morning class. And so, last week I was so excited. I woke up on time, got to class with no rush. Today, I never heard my alarm, and I checked and it's on, which is crazy because last night I'm in a group that's like active right now on Marco Polo, on Facebook, and then also on top of that, my friend and I just introduced two of my friends to Marco Polo, and one of them just finally uploaded it last night, so she had to watch 100 messages that we've been leaving her trying to be like. So the point is that my phone was going off all night. My son does not want me to talk anymore so he can listen to the radio. So more updates to come. I don't even remember what I was talking about. David interrupted me. He didn't want me to be on. He's grumpy. And he loves the morning radio show where there's like a second date update. And it's usually funny. Like, you talk to the first person and they seem really adorable. Sorry. And then the second person comes on and you find out like something silly actually happened that the first person didn't even realize was silly. So it's entertaining. It's good. So I'm driving to school like I do every day. Today, Monday, I have the two classes. The first one's the Intro to Law class. It's 3 hours long. It doesn't really need to be 3 hours. Like, it's a beneficial class. It's really good. Like, it kind of gives all of these norms and expectations that the education of law and then the field of law has. It's like teaching us that stuff. So that's good. Like, improving our writing and our test taking skills, things like that. So I appreciate it. 3 hours though, it'd be nice if they did it in 2. And then I have constitutional law, which I did bad on the test, and so it's interesting. Like, I don't usually do bad on things, but I do because I'm still human, and so like now I'm like, I want to understand why I didn't understand it or like what I didn't understand. I mean, constitutional law is like intense legal jargon, and I understand things with regular words and like common sense. So contracts and torts, there's enough like common sense and regular words that like the random legal words are fine. Constitutional law is like one phrase, judicial, I don't even know. It's a non-political, non-justiciable question. That's one of the things. A political, non-justiciable political question. We learned about, what is this other, like this stuff, like Congress can make laws because of the aggregate, you see, it doesn't even stick in my head. So, but I feel like I comprehend the stuff. Like I could explain it in regular words. But so the questions, of course, on the test are all legal. Like, it's a legal essay, and then these like 4 questions all. So I just need to keep working. It's fine. But I was saying, after I did poorly on the test, when I was actually doing the homework, like I could see my esteem and my belief in myself and ability to comprehend was less. So that's annoying. I mean, I'm sure I'll be back to normal by next week, but like I had the hardest time reading the material for this week's class because I did poorly on this stupid test from like the first 2-3 weeks of stuff we learned. Blah. I know that I took a few, like, for constitutional law, there's all sorts of different resources, and so there's a resource where I can take practice, like, essay question things, or multiple choice questions. I tried it, but it was all the questions, like, I went to, like, level 1, but all the questions were on stuff we hadn't even learned about yet, so, I can keep looking at that and see if I can find some other resources, so. Because I do like constitutional law, and I'm pretty sure I comprehend it. I just need to get better with the legal jargon. So, okay, have a good day. So I have two funny stories that don't relate, and then in the end they do. You ready for this? About a year ago, this non-accredited law school contacts me and tells me they want to be restorative justice, and they're going to come up in like a week on this date and time. That statement in itself, like, to function restoratively is a very long time consuming process, because you have to learn theory and learn practices and then start applying on a regular basis and see what works with your environment. I would say minimally maybe 3 years at least to become like a restorative company, agency, business. And so this law school wants to be restorative, and they're calling me and telling me I need to be available for them to tell them how to do that in 1 week. So it's a very like just off-putting setup. And I'm not actually available. So I respond like, hey, I'm not available. Here's some other dates and times, or like sometime after this date, like let me know. They don't respond. And they just show up anyways. So I'm like, I think I was finishing a grant that was due like at 5 o'clock, and they show up at like 4. Something like just, and they're rude. They were rude to my administrative assistant. The dean of the school was like sweating and nervous. And they were, even though I kept saying like, you need to come back, like you need to go and reschedule, they were like trying to like manipulate me into staying. It just felt like this like patriarchal, like male, like dominating weirdness, like sense of entitlement and privilege. It was gross. Like it was just gross and frustrating. And so like afterwards I sat on it for a little bit, and I was like, I have no interest in working with these people. Like they clearly don't actually even want to like know what to function restoratively is. And they don't function with the level of integrity that I expect when I'm working with people. I'm going to spend my time and energy helping them. This is not okay. So I send them some sort of professional email that basically says like, you're not functioning with integrity, and there's no reason to contact me anymore. Like I'm not helping you. Goodbye. And they like send me back 1 or 2 like rude, argumentative, kind of just insulting, almost like childlike emails. And what's really weird is like the grammar's really poor. There's a lack of capitalization. Like it's just strange, especially from the dean of a law school, because lawyers are known for writing really well. It's just like, I don't have time or interest or care. Like I don't know what is wrong with these people, but see ya. Okay, so that's one story. Completely unrelated story. 3 years ago, I think, maybe 4 years ago, I left my garage open one night, and someone came in the night and they stole my son's bike, which was a really nice bike. I mean, like, I'll just say a nice bike. I think it's probably relative. He loved it, and it cost a little bit more money probably than I would normally spend on a bike. But, and like they took his Beats, his earphones, and I think something else of his. And so it was pretty yucky. And the way that we processed it was this kind of idea that like whoever is actually like stealing probably doesn't have the means to even buy this stuff in the first place. And we're not only blessed with the means for you to own this stuff, son, but I couldn't replace the Beats. Someone got them with they had like credit card credits or something. And so they were like $300-$400 for those things. I couldn't replace those, but I could get them a new bike. And so I'm tired and grumpy. I can tell. My son just interrupted my vlogging to tell me to buy onions when we have like a bag of yellow onions and then a few white bulbed onions in the same place we've kept onions his entire life. And he cooks all the time, so he knows where we keep the onions. So instead of just opening the cabinet, he's been blowing my phone up, which I said we have onions. And so instead of just looking, he calls me, "Are you not?" So that annoyed me. Okay, back to my story. Teach him, whoever's stealing doesn't like their life is in a yucky place where they can't even afford a bike probably. And we are lucky enough that we not only can afford one, but we can afford to replace the stolen one. And so even though it sucks that his bike got stolen, in the bigger scheme of things, like wipe it off, so let it go. And I saw that a kid riding his bike like a month or two later, and my son and I were in the car, and I pulled the car over, and I go talk to the kid, and I'm like, hey, that's my son's bike that got stolen out of our garage. And that kid's like maybe 13 or so. Oh, my cousin gave me this. Well, I don't believe you. And you stole a little boy's bike, because this kid was older than my son, and my son's sitting in the car while I do this. You stole his bike, and like, so you have a choice right now that you can make the right choice, and you can give me the bike back, and we'll take it home, because that's who it belongs to. Or you can keep riding a bike you stole from a little kid, and you can live with that, knowing that that's who you are. Really? Like, your choice, little guy. No, it's my cousin gave me this. It's his. Okay, well, you stole a bike from a child. You kind of suck. Hindsight, I thought about it later. I should have I made him call his mother. Like, if I would have redo that situation, I would have called his mom right then and there on the spot. I've been like, hey, I'm with your son Johnny. My name's Connie, and your son Johnny is riding my son's bike that got stolen out of our garage. And just saying, who knows what would happen? She might yell at me. She might hold her son accountable. Who knows? Here nor there. It is what it is. So we get back in the car, and my son's like, you're not going to call the police? No, I'm not going to call the police on this little kid, 13, 14 years old. And like, his life sucks so much already that he's stealing a bike and keeping a bike that he stole from a little kid, because my son was like 8 or 9 then. And so like, this little boy's life sucks. It's like, that's a shitty life that you can't have a bike unless you steal it. And you even know you did something wrong, but that's the only way you can survive. Like, I'm not making that little boy's life worse. I feel bad for the kid. So, juxtapose those two stories. This is what, at school today, we were talking about this, like we were talking about legal writing, and so then I told them the story about that dean of the law school who didn't write well, and my interactions with him, and my disgust, and like, just like a complete lack of respect for their ability to exist as a law school, to function in the professional world. Like, I just have no respect for them, individually or that school, as a result of the interaction I had with them. And then in opposition, I have like, I don't know, complete generosity and compassion for this kid that stole our bike, which is an actual crime. And so he said, I don't remember what he said. Like, he was like, you're such an interesting person to be so fierce professionally and so compassionate personally. Like, that's a really interesting combo. And so, yeah, it is. As humans, we're all dynamic, and there are parts of me, if and when I need to be fierce, I am. And if I need to be compassionate, I'm compassionate. And it's given to those accordingly. If someone's a client, I'm not going to hold them to the same expectations that I'm going to hold a colleague to. Because if you're in a professional setting, or you have a position of power, then I'm going to expect you to have a certain level of integrity and intelligence and other things that you carry yourself with. And I'm going to hold you to that. Whereas if you're like a kid that, like, you're a victim to your parents' like broken, dysfunctional environment they've created for you to grow up in, like, you're just surviving. And I can't hold that against a kid. So that's it. That's my opposite stories and how they relate.